why it keeps using that. Alright, we're starting. And what's up, everybody? Welcome back. I've got Lewis. I got me. And that's all we need, right?
For now.
Alright.
As far as I know, it only takes 2 to chat.
That's
so.
right. Let me change the title real quick. You're not going to see much of me, everybody. Sorry about that.
Whee! I dropped my pen, folks. Had to pick it up. So, if you guys are wondering what we're going to do, we're going to talk. Have a superhero chat.
What?
About famous couples in comics. Because it's almost Valentine's Day. And what better topic than love interests?
That's right. That's right. Because it's almost Valentine's Day.
That's right.
Alright, looks like it's streaming well.
Good.
Awesome. So apparently the unsupported resolution. Okay, I don't know what that means. It's working at least.
Sweet.
So I know the viewers are excited about watching this part. Anyways, on to the video.
Hey, they've come to expect it from us.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah. We set their expectations low so that when we exceed them, it's pretty
They're like,
amazing.
wow, that went really well.
That's right. It's like, whoa, what are they? What's going on? What just happened? Anywho. Oh, we got better service now. That's good. Anyways. So, we wanted to talk about our top 10. Well, I said top 10, but really it's just a bunch of our favorite relationships in the comic books.
There you go.
Lewis has 5, I have 5, and then we've got 5 others because Lewis likes qualifiers.
That's right.
And
Jonathan,
I like qualifiers
Jonathan goes along with it.
I like qualifiers too sometimes. So, all right. So, well, I guess we'll start. Hey, we got a bunch of people on. Welcome. We're doing our favorite comic book relationship.
Couples, relationships.
So, awesome. All right. So to start off, Lewis, you want to give your number 5?
Yeah, I don't know that I have a specific order here, so...
I'll just go with the order you gave me, because that's close enough. I think we ranked them, so it was your order then. It might have changed since then.
Yeah, because when we first did it, it didn't include, like, superhero and normal person relationship.
Right,
it was just superhero things, so...
we'll do that.
Superhero with superhero. I'm just going to go with Captain Britain and Megan. So Alan Moore, Alan Davis, Chris Claremont. She's some sort of magical creature girl, shape-shifting power, super strength, all that sort of thing. And he's sort of a mystical Captain America type. And they just have a really cool relationship. Read it mostly through Excalibur. And, yeah, they had their ups and downs, and the series ended with them getting married, finally. Captain Britain had gotten lost in the time stream at one point. She had gone into a catatonic state. Thankfully, all that worked out well for them. And it was just a fun relationship to watch grow and develop over time. So... that was why I like them.
That's cool. Yeah, I know nothing about those two characters. I've heard of Captain Britain, but...
yeah.
So, isn't he kind of like Superman or something?
Yeah, something between Captain America and Superman, but more mystical power in nature rather than sort of alien.
Yeah.
Or scientific.
Okay.
So
Fair enough.
basically, Merlin gave him superpowers: super strength, flight, different sorts of mystical senses, and things of that nature.
Okay.
At one point, he had Excalibur the sword, and so there have been different takes on the character. I like the one that's sort of Superman, but for Britain.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay. Well, my number 5 is Tim Drake and Stephanie Brown. And honestly, they would be higher on the list if it weren't so that the others were just so good. And I'm thankful for Lewis for reminding me of all my favorites. Oh man, because I've forgotten so many of them. But I love Tim Drake. He's one of my favorites. The only reason I don't like them higher because I haven't read as much from them. But what I have read, I've loved. But I do have the Teen Titan series. I don't know if she's in that, is she?
She's not. Well, I mean, she might be briefly, but she's not a main part of that.
But I'm slowly collecting some of the Robin run.
And she's all over that.
She's all over that. So, yeah. And she was great in Detective Comics when Tinian the Fourth was writing it. So that's pretty sweet. So I just really love the characters. I like Tim Drake. I feel like is the most grounded of the Robins. Dick Grayson has his friends, and he's Dick Grayson with them. But I feel like he never really had like a normal life, and Tim Drake kind of uses his normal life with Stephanie. He kind of grounds himself to the world, which is more than any of the other people have been able to do.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So that's why I like them.
It's definitely a fun relationship to watch. I remember some of the early issues of that Robin series, the first ongoing series he had in the early 90s. And I was like, wait, he's got a girlfriend, but he like there's definitely this chemistry between him and Spoiler. And so I was cool with that relationship as it unfolded over the years.
Right. And what's the guy who wrote that series?
Chuck Dixon.
That's
and,
right. That's right. And he did a bunch of Green Arrow too.
That's right. Yep.
Anyway.
What else did he write? There's something else you like that he wrote too. Oh, Birds of Prey.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
Oh, by the way, if you didn't see that at Ollie's, they had a like the first storyline of that from the 90s.
Yeah, I have the first trade
of the Birds of Prey.
Yeah, I haven't finished reading it, but I do have it.
Oh, okay, cool.
So.
Well, there you go.
I feel like it takes a little while to take its stride, which is why it's slow reading for me. But
sure.
Yeah. Anyways, so that's my number 5.
Yeah. Number 4, I guess, would be Cyclops and Jean. Again, this is super powered, folks. And I just, I like the relationship on the cartoon. And I was there when they got married in the comics.
That's the other way that I knew about their relationship was the cartoon.
Yeah. And so I really dug that relationship and appreciated the way that they told the story of them getting married. And yeah, so I'm definitely anti Emma Frost. And
yeah,
that relationship. Cyclops. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm opposed to that particular relationship. So, but
I love those characters. Cyclops is one of my favorite Marvel characters in general, and
right.
and so most of my favorite relationships are my favorite characters.
Yeah.
So I'll just be honest with that. So
I just love that Stanley wrote it in from the very beginning of the X-Men series. And then we just got to see it play out over the years with all the ups and downs and stuff that Chris Claremont threw at him with the whole Phoenix saga, Dark Phoenix, and then her return and the stuff with his wife. And yeah, I mean, I know there were some strange moments to account for, but ultimately I appreciated when they got married. I was like, finally, So anyway, that's my number 4. They got married in the 90s. X-Men number 30 came out in like 93 or something, around the 30th anniversary of the X-Men.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Well, and that's, I think, one reason why I like X-Men and Cable, because he's tied to that. They're tied to them. So
yeah.
But obviously they have weird, stories. Obviously Cyclops and Jean Grey don't have normal lives, but
no.
Anywho, so my number 4, and it's actually changed. So, but I think your one of your number 1s is gonna be my number 4. So I'll just save my old one, which is Hawk Girl and Jon Stewart. Man, if you watch the cartoon, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
I really liked their relationship in that. It's interesting. A lot of my favorite relationships come from the cartoon shows. But they're, I don't know if they ever made them in the comic books. But they are comic book characters, so I'm going to include it on the list because it's my list. But I love those two. They're perfect for each other. They're both warriors. They both have been through a lot of stuff, and they both need somebody strong to back them up. And they're both equally hard-headed, and it's great. It's wonderful to watch them on the screen, and they're just beautiful pairing. Just a beautiful pairing. And they balance off each other pretty well, I think. And so just, if you haven't watched that Justice League cartoon, you need to. It's so good.
Yeah.
It's so good. So I really love their relationship.
In the comics, one of the relationships that I really appreciated was Jon Stewart with Katma Tui. She was a fellow Green Lantern. And they actually did an episode with Despero and Katma Tui on that Justice League cartoon show. And she was Jon Stewart's former love interest on the show, and she basically gives him the approval to pursue Hawk Girl. And I thought that was a nice little Easter egg.
I think I remember that episode.
For the fans of the comics and stuff.
Isn't she supposed to be like the one who trained him or something?
Right.
In that episode, at least?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So I thought that was a great episode.
Yeah. I loved everything about it except for Martian Manhunter being not as big a focal point because it's Despero, and I feel like with him, Martian Manhunter has to be a focal, because I see him as one of Martian Manhunter's arch enemies, kind of like Lex Luthor to Superman or something.
Yeah. Okay.
So
I don't know enough about the history of the characters to really.
It's all good. I wasn't mad about it too much, but man, that whole stupid Justice League cartoon series was amazing. So
it was.
Most of my
you preface that with calling it stupid, but
yeah.
Well, I just mean
like. Look, that whole show was amazing, and so I have very little to complain about with regard to that show.
Yeah. They made people watching. Welcome. We're going through our favorite comic book relationships.
Yeah.
So sorry for a second I blanked. I was like, what are we talking about? We were talking about Martian Manhunter and Despero, not a comic book relationship.
At least not that we know of.
Not in that. Well, some people might say Batman and Joker, but I don't know.
That.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
No.
I do enjoy their banter though, and when you throw Harley Quinn in the mix, man, it's great, great stuff. Especially the Batman animated series, beautiful.
Yes. Yeah.
Anyways, so that was my number 4.
Yeah. So my number 3 is probably the most classic couple on our list, save for one that we'll get to eventually. But Reed and Sue Richards, not
that's right.
Storm Richards as they're doing with Sue's last name right now, but just Reed and Sue Richards,
right.
Mr. Fantastic and the Invisible Woman. I just I was blessed by my mom when I was younger. She bought some old comic books from a yard sale. Some of them were Fantastic Four books, and I just remember reading. And it was during the period where Sue and Reed were having trouble, marital troubles, because he gets so focused on his work and what he's doing. And spoiler alert, for some 35-plus-year-old comics, Reed had been replaced by his alternate, some dude from another dimension who was his twin. So, but I got all this, relationship tension, and you're like, I still want this relationship to work, even though they're fighting with each other and, at odds with one another. And so it totally led you up to this moment where they're together and it's good and right. And I think the Fantastic Four operate really well when they're in right relationship with one another, Reed and Sue, that is. And so I really appreciate that. That there's this one moment in the first issue of the new run that they're doing. I think it was the first issue where he asks her, do you believe in me? And she's like, I do. And he's like, then I can do anything.
Yeah.
And I love that moment because I think that's sort of how their relationship really does work.
Yeah.
When she's in his corner, he feels like he can do anything, even the fantastic. Sorry, I couldn't resist.
Hey, if you've seen any of my Terrific videos, I make plays on that all the time.
I know. So,
but
anyway, so that's my number 3.
They're in my top 10 for sure.
Yeah.
I enjoyed them in the movies, but now that I've been reading some of the Fantastic Four, I still love them. I feel like the newest series doesn't really get into it as much, although that wedding special was pretty good. Again, we've talked about it. I felt like it was a little much for him to push off everything for Ben Grimm. It didn't make a lot of sense, even for that little present that was supposed to be so amazing. I was like, that's ridiculous. But whatever.
Right. I feel like there's steps in that issue that are missing.
Yeah. That
help you really appreciate the gift as much as it should be. But anyway, that's another video.
Anyways, so my number 3 is Batman and Wonder Woman. Love it.
Yes.
Now, most of it is from the cartoon, but they're in the comics as well a little bit. For some reason, DC hasn't, as far as I know of, gotten them together in the comic books. Like, come on, people, what are you doing?
Well, they did go on a date. They did go on a date in the somewhere around Justice League number 61 or so.
Yeah.
In the JLA series that was out in the late 90s, early 2000s. But they sort of just agreed to be friends or whatever.
Right.
But I think there's a lot. I mean, we've discussed this over and again, but right. I feel like there's a lot of potential for that relationship.
Exactly. Well, and there's a really good issue that happened during the or right before the Bat Wedding with Catwoman. And Wonder Woman and Batman end up going to this like mystical land. So there's this guy who constantly fights off these creatures and fights an endless war. And in time, its time is a lot quicker than normal time. So he spends like decades there, while the regular world only is gone for like a few days or a few hours. So Batman and Wonder Woman spend like 10 years there, and in like a few hours. And it kind of shows that those two grow like super close, and because they've been battling nonstop all these hordes together.
Right.
And, some really great moments in there, and then they decide to be friends for some stupid reason, so he can love Catwoman for some dumb reason. But whatever.
You're not bitter.
I'm not bitter, but I love their relationship in the cartoon. It was amazing, especially the episode where they get turned into little kids. Hilarious. Especially there's one scene where Wonder Woman, I guess she's Wonder Girl at that point, she grabs Batman, and because they pair off, and she grabs him and drags him along, and he's kind of begrudgingly going with her. And Jon Stewart and I think it's Flash. Superman. Superman is oblivious to what's going on, and it's great. But Jon Stewart's like, you don't see what's going on over there. Hilarious. I love it. And there's one episode where it feels like they're gonna get together, because she's like hanging out with him for the whole episode, just the two of them pretty much.
Oh right, yeah.
And beautiful episode. I love it. And
I love the episode where she gets turned into a pig by Cersei.
Oh, that's good.
And
it brings Zatanna in there.
That's right. And Zatanna and Batman used to date.
Right.
Which we know from the Batman animated series. And she's totally picking up on how Batman feels about Diana, and you're just like, please, let's explore this, you know?
Yeah.
It's just so good. Like,
I don't mind her for a romance with Batman either.
Yeah, she's
why
the
they haven't done
choice.
that in a while. I just feel like she's a little bit younger than he is. Although in the new universe, who knows how old anybody is?
Well, right, but Zatara is her dad, and he taught Batman how to escape, like as an escape artist. And
that wasn't the old Mr. Miracle. Picking on Tomasi.
Yeah, I know.
I love Tomasi. I'm just messing.
But anyway, and so even if she was younger, it might just be like 2 years or something, you know?
Yeah.
So he would have been 18 and she would have been 16 or something. So it wouldn't have been too weird as far as their relationship goes, because they would have been young but not inappropriately distant as far as their age goes. But yeah, so I love the Batman Wonder Woman pairing. I don't know why DC hasn't done more with that. I forgot about that issue you told me about where they spent time together, years together in that one issue. Because
that was awesome. That was good.
Yeah, that sounds like a great way to explore that relationship without like.
I think that was Tom King too.
Wow.
If I'm not mistaken. So
he can write good.
I've picked a lot on Tom King, but he's hit or miss, and sometimes he nails it out of the park, knocks it out of the park, and I love it. But sometimes he, hits a cat, and I don't like it. Did I make a play about Catwoman there? Maybe. Anyways, Batman, Wonder Woman, love them together. Really great. You got two of the Trinity. It just makes sense.
Yeah.
Especially with Superman with Lois, he doesn't need Wonder Woman. So boom, you got it perfect right there.
Right.
So those are mine. That's my number 3.
And I love the I was excited about the Justice League movie when I first saw the previews, where Batman and Wonder Woman are sort of joking with each other about how Aquaman responded about joining the Justice League.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's basically telling her, so I don't think he's going to join. he turned you down, didn't he? You know, and she's just like, she's seeing right through his attempts to save face, and he's like, yeah.
I'll say, you know, the most disappointing thing about the failure of the Justice League is that the Bat Wonder Woman romance is amazing. I mean, it's great. One of the best parts about Batman vs Superman, which might be the only good thing about that movie, was Wonder Woman, especially when she's talking to Bruce. It's great. I love it. It's so good. That's the only reason probably that I would ever watch that movie again.
Yeah.
I mean, I enjoyed some of the fight scenes, but that was it. But in Justice League, the only redeeming quality of that movie was Batman and Wonder Woman. I mean, okay, I like the whole thing. It was just, it's watered down. It's not great. It's good. That's how I say. But the best part about it was Batman and Wonder Woman, hands down, in my opinion. But I'm biased. I'll admit my bias.
Right.
So, anyways, that was my number 3. So to
my
recap,
number 2.
Let's recap. So,
my
number 5. I have to think for a second. Tim Drake, Stephanie Brown. Number 4, Jon Stewart, Hawk Girl. And then number 3 was Batman, Wonder Woman.
Yeah. So my number 5 was Captain Britain and Megan. My number 4 was Cyclops and Jean Grey. My number 3 was Reed and Sue. My number 2 is Wonder Girl, Donna Troy, and Arsenal, Roy Harper.
I love their relationship too.
Yeah. So I saw that they had chemistry in some of the old Wolfman series, but their relationship came to the forefront for me when Devin Grayson in the early 2000s, she was writing the Titans. She wrote the first, 15, 20 issues. And so Donna Troy over in the Wonder Woman series had been wiped out of existence and been brought back, but without her memories. So Wally had to supply her memories. And, Wally saw her as this paradigm. She was like the end all be all for women for him in one sense. And so he saw her as like this perfect woman. And so she worried that she was too perfect and she was too much of a good girl. So she wanted to be a bad girl. And so she fell in with Arsenal, which they had already had an established relationship as teenagers. And I think this was sort of the fruition of that. But basically, Arsenal had fallen in love with her. Leanne, Arsenal's daughter, had fallen in love with her. And so she kind of broke his heart. And then with the Rebirth stuff, apparently they've revisited their relationship. And, of course, now Arsenal's dead. So
yeah.
Thanks a lot, DC. And Video.
They did this weird thing where they had her with Wally for a little bit.
Did they?
Which made no sense to me.
No.
Especially since he was taken by Linda still in that series. So it made no sense. He kind of gave up on Linda, and I was like, who are you?
Well, I mean, even if you acknowledge that's fine, Donna to him is the unattainable, right? Like she's so perfect that he would ruin her by pursuing her, if that makes sense. That's just how Wally's always sort of thought of Donna, as like she's the ideal woman, and therefore he would never go after her, because he couldn't keep up with her.
Yeah.
Which is a great way to think about it, considering he's the Flash.
Yeah, the fastest man alive.
That's right.
Hashtag still believing. Still hoping.
That's right.
Let's see. So my number 2 used to be my number 1, but now it's number 2, and that's because I've grown in love with the other 2, and it's Green Arrow and Black Canary. Love them. I think Ollie and Diana are Did I say that right?
It's Dinah.
Dinah. I was like,
Yeah.
that doesn't sound right. It's Dinah. Yeah, I'm terrible with names. Even my favorite characters. They're like the poster child of relationship in the DC universe, I think, other than Supes and Lois. Like their relationship is very simple. It doesn't. A lot of the drama really comes from them being idiots, and just
Especially Ollie.
completely opposites. Yeah, Ollie's an idiot sometimes, all the time, and you know, Dinah is right there ready to you know, correct him and
smack him in the back of the head.
And I feel like without her, he just kind of gets lost in his own world and does stupid stuff. But
right.
when she's around, like, she grounds him and keeps him straight, and it works perfect. It works perfect. And so, and she realizes like she can be a normal person when she's around him, because I feel like she's never really had her identity hidden as much, depending on which era. I mean, she just always walks around as Black Canary.
Right.
Rarely is she not, and so like that's her identity. And so like being with Green Arrow, I feel like gives her a place to be a normal person.
Yeah.
Because she doesn't really, she can be herself, which she already is, but it goes beyond that because she can kind of take the mask off. And I think she kind of suffers similar with Batman. Like the other person is really the mask for her.
Right.
But he draws that out of her, which I think is really great. And so they really, I think, fit perfectly together. And it's always funny to read about those two because they're just so good together.
And I just love that he calls her Pretty Bird.
I do too.
I think that's so great. Yeah. I like Arsenal calls Wonder Girl Wonder Chick.
That's funny.
So I love the little pet names and things like that. So, all right. So we're to our number ones, right?
Right.
All right. So do you want to do the non-powered?
I was going to say, do you have any honorable mentions?
Just the
we'll do the non-powered afterwards.
Just the non-powered folks. So I don't really have any honorable mentions.
I was thinking one that I really like is Raven and Beast Boy. I like their relationship. I thought Superboy and Miss Martian was great in Young Justice cartoon.
Oh, in the comics, Superboy and Wonder Girl, Cassie.
Right.
They were a really good relationship.
Yeah.
As you read through the Teen Titans run Jeff Johns wrote, I think you'll appreciate that too.
Right. Well, that's kind of next on my list. So.
Yeah.
Let's see. Obviously, I really enjoy Sue and Reed Richards. They're in my top 10, as well as Arsenal and Donna. The one I didn't mention earlier is in the non-powered list, so I'm not going to mention those. We'll do that after our number one.
Hank Pym and Wasp. They get overlooked primarily for that one issue where he's losing his mind and he backhands her.
Yeah.
And suddenly he becomes a wife beater, but it's literally one panel where he flings his hand backwards and smacks her.
Not that Lewis is advocating for it.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying, I'm saying their relationship, when it was good, was a great example of because in West Coast Avengers, they later get back together after having worked through all that, and Hank Pym having almost committed suicide, and there's all this baggage that they're able to get past and reconnect, and I just thought that was a great example of forgiveness and reconciliation that often goes overlooked or just outright ignored. So
right.
I thought that was great.
I like Rogue and Gambit.
Ooh, yeah, that's
They're
a good one.
Couple. I'm a big fan. I'll paraphrase this. I'm a big fan of Barry Allen and Iris West. But I thought there was an interesting run in Justice League a while back where Barry gets together with Jessica Cruz. Thought that was really good. And so, because they played off each other really well, I thought. I'm not really sure what's going on with her. All right, that's enough honorable unless you have any. I can go.
Yeah, I think we'll just roll on.
All right.
So my number one is Colossus and Kitty Pryde.
I like that too.
I'm not, but so mad that they didn't actually get married, Marvel. No, I'm actually pretty aggravated that they didn't get married. I thought it was kind of neat that Rogue and Gambit got married, but as someone who's like all about Colossus and Kitty, obviously I wasn't there when they broke up, but I was there when Illyana, Colossus' sister, died from the legacy virus in the 90s, and Kitty was there to help her be comfortable until she died. And then all the fallout from that, where Colossus felt betrayed by or let down by Xavier's dream, so he goes to Magneto's team, and then eventually he leaves Magneto and he goes and joins with Excalibur, and Nightcrawler and Kitty are there, and I'm like, yes, this is good. So there's the possibility that they'll get back together, but Kitty was in a relationship at the time, and so they didn't get back together, and then they rejoined the X-Men, and they still didn't get back together, even though there were hints that they might. And I was looking forward to that, but it never came to pass. And then he died, saving mutant kind from the legacy virus, and then eventually Astonishing X-Men by Joss Whedon. And I said his name right. You just heard the Whedon part on the end of Joss. And he rewrites it where Colossus was somehow brought back to life by these aliens or something, and then he and Kitty resume their relationship, and things go well for a while. And then I don't know what happens because I quit reading at that point, but I just know that their relationship is just one of my favorites. And there was, when it first started, a sizable age difference. I think he was 18 or 19, and she would have been like 14 or something. So obviously there were some lines that they clearly couldn't cross, but nothing that, particularly for the time, that would have been like, I can't believe they're not crossing these lines, and I thought it was a sweet kind of relationship. Like this old-fashioned dating thing that should have ultimately ended in marriage, but it's Marvel, so why would they want to do that?
Yeah. Well,
can't take a strong female character and marry her off. That would somehow make her less powerful.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's Marvel in the present day. Yeah, I like their characters too. My first introduction was from the cartoon and the movies, but I thought that they worked really well together. They're in my top 10 since we narrowed it down to the top 5 because we have a lot of crossover.
Right.
So, all right, my number 1 is Dick Grayson and Corey, or Starfire, and I love their relationship. It's great. Ever since the first time I read the first issue of New Teen Titans, I was in. I was hooked. They're so good together. There's a amazing futuristic story called Nightwing something, and I forget what it's called. It starts with an R. But it's basically in a future um, where being a meta-human or a superhero is outlawed, and it's all because of Nightwing. Really excellent story. Corey and, well, spoiler alert, Nightwing and Corey have a son, and it's awesome. It's awesome. Actually, Lois Lane is a Blue Lantern in that.
Weird.
Which is pretty cool. Superman is depowered, but he's still a beast. It's awesome. Like, he runs around, he has like I think it's like a giant axe, and he's like ripped. It's awesome. He's got long hair. I love it. It's so good. It's excellent. It's like his depowered is still stronger than most. But no, I love their relationship. I think it's great. She's kind of this sweet, naive girl, and he's kind of this closed off guy, but she's always able to open him up, and you know, he's got a lot of street smart, so they kind of balance off each other really well. And I just love in the comics how much they care for each other. And so even in subtle ways, because you know, they have like a full relationship in pretty quickly in New Teen Titans.
Yeah.
And it's great. It's great. Of course, when they first meet, like, she kisses him so that she can learn the language, and it's so funny. She's like, "What better way to learn the language?" So really funny, really funny. I love those two characters. Dick Grayson's obviously my favorite character, and you know, I'm very biased, but those two are great. Which I was kind of sad to see in Young Justice them use Dick Grayson, because that causes a lot of problems when Dick Grayson's supposed to be with Corey Mandir, and he's not. And they do that a lot of times when they reboot the Teen Titans, and they put Dick Grayson in there for some reason. Don't understand. So those are our favorite superhero and superhero relationships. So now we're going to have our top 5 combined favorite superhero and non-superhero relationship.
Yeah.
Superhero non. You have the list, Lewis, so I'm going to let you read it off.
Okay, and just real quick before we move on, I don't know how we forgot about Aquaman and Mera.
Okay.
Because they're an awesome couple too. But anyway, moving on. So, Barry and Iris, you mentioned them earlier. I like their relationship. I like that Barry is always late, and somehow that is how Iris keeps from deducing that he's the Flash. I think it's just sort of kind of like a funny, sort of cute joke that you know, really is indicative of their relationship or whatever.
Well, it's kind of like Clark and Lois. Like, the only reason she doesn't know it is because of how clumsy he is, and kind of
the glasses,
not assuming as Clark.
Right.
So
that's
really great. Yeah, I like Barry and Alice. I thought they did really well on the TV show. I know that a lot of people haven't cared for Iris. I thought it was great. For a CW show, of course. So it's very sappy. But I've enjoyed it. I thought The Flash was my favorite series of them. And, you know, I feel like they did really well casting both characters. I do feel like some seasons they don't know what to do with Iris West. But,
right.
You know, otherwise, really... I really like the characters. I mentioned Jessica Cruz and Barry. I'm a huge Jessica Cruz fan, so any kind of love she gets is awesome. But I didn't like that they, in one comic book, they had Jessica and Barry together, and then in another comic book running at the same time, they had Barry and Iris. I was like, this doesn't make sense at all.
Yeah, he's not a two-timer.
No. So they just kind of ignored the whole thing in the other comics. So, like, whatever. I guess these are at different times, maybe, or different universes. Who knows? But I'm a big fan of Barry and Iris.
Here's
Classic,
a question.
Been around forever.
With regard to Iris on the TV show, Is she a reporter or is she a police officer?
She's not a police officer.
Her dad is, though, right?
Right. And his character is awesome. He's a great addition, I think, to the show.
I think he used to be on one of those Law and Order shows, and he was really good on that.
He was. I think it was Law and Order. They make some jokes about that too.
Oh, really?
It's funny in Psych. They make fun of his show too. The dad.
Oh, really? Oh, right. L.A. Law.
That's right. They make some funny jokes about that. But
well, and he was in Corbin Burnson, the guy who played Psych's dad. Sean's dad. He was in the Major League movie.
Okay.
With Charlie Sheen, and I wonder if they didn't make jokes about that on the baseball episode with Danny Glover.
Huh.
I'll have to go back.
I'm sure they did. They made fun of everything on that show.
That's true.
Anyways.
But, number 4 for the non-powered list, Ben and Alicia. Ben being the Thing, and Alicia being Alicia Masters. And I guess we can call her Alicia Grimm now, right? Didn't they just get married?
Let's go.
Woo!
Oh. I was thinking a little bit ago, one that probably would be equal in my mind is Metamorpho and his girl.
Oh, yeah, Star.
Because they're pretty much the same character. Not the girls, but Metamorpho and...
Well, not exactly.
They're very, very, very similar.
Only in the Terrifics, dude. Trust me.
There you go. Okay. I'll take it.
It's really not the same in, when Metamorpho's in the Justice League and stuff.
Fair enough. Different writer.
Yeah.
But I'm reading the Terrifics right now, so.
You are, and that's an amazing, it's a terrific series.
But that's right. Not quite fantastic, but it's definitely terrific.
That's right. It's great comics. That's what it is.
That's right.
Great comics.
I think it's the best series running right now. My humble but accurate opinion.
I could agree with that. I'm really hoping that's one of the ones that doesn't get canceled.
Yeah.
Because it is really well done. It's just great comics.
Yeah. I think the only ones that haven't gotten canceled, I can't remember if it was either Damage, Silencer, or Sideways. I feel like Sideways got canceled, and I think Damage got. I think Terrifics and
I think
Silencer,
both of those are ending, but Silencer and
Terrifics are not.
Terrifics are still going. So
although I still feel like Sideways should be on the Teen Titans. Be epic. I don't use that word often.
Didn't you do a video about that?
I did.
So,
well, his relationship's a good one too. Him and his girl.
Yeah.
Although they're really more like best friends, but that's how it always starts, right?
Yeah.
So.
Well, you kind of hope that's how it starts anyway, right?
Right. Anyways, but
so yeah,
I do like the Thing and what's her name have the Grimm family has more of a history, so I'm okay with putting them over the others.
Yeah. So yeah, I love the Thing, and I love that he got married. It's about time.
It's about time. I was about to say that.
So. All right, number what is this? Number 3, I guess. We're counting down. I'm saying Wally and Linda.
That's right. That would probably be my number 4 total. So, because I love those two. That moment in Heroes in Crisis 3 where he sees his family, beautiful.
Yeah,
beautiful.
They start out. She's a television reporter, sort of low key, and they just butt heads, and it's really great because you're like, of course they're not going to get together. They're like buddies, at best.
Right.
And then she gets in danger, and the girl Wally was dating for a while, for a good while, basically dumps him, and he's like, I don't get it. And so the guy writing the story basically set it up and then Mark Waid steps in and he just hits this home run with it. She's about to move away, like, because they've had like these different flirtatious moments. They've had random kisses here and there,
yeah,
and that sort of thing. But she's about to move away to another city for a job, and she's like, I don't really have any reason to stay. And then Wally's like, me, you know, and then they take this huge step forward in their relationship, and it's just wonderful, and she becomes his lightning rod, you know,
right.
Which I really hate they did away with in the Rebirth stuff, but because it was just always so cool the way that, particularly Mark Waid would just write it where Flash would run into the Speed Force, and you would think, oh, he's gone and that's it, and nobody ever comes back out, and then he comes back out, like he finds a way back to her, and it's every time you're just like, man, you're so good at writing comics, Mark Waid. What is, like, why do you keep doing this to me? Because I thought he was gone and I thought it was over, and here we are, and it's a beautiful scene, and I'm not crying, you're crying. Shut up.
Yeah.
Oh, you have that. So when you read Terminal Velocity, you have all the parts of that. It leads up to Flash 100. You'll see what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I'm excited. I've only known the characters a very short time, but I've quickly fallen in love with them. I don't know Linda as much, but she means a lot to Wally, and that means that I like the relationship a lot. So
yeah,
I don't think that they did away with it in Rebirth. It was post Rebirth that really just ignored it.
No. They specifically in the first few issues of
the Rebirth issue.
Yeah, the Rebirth Titan comics. They remove her as his lightning rod and make it his friends.
Well, I feel like they were hinting at something coming that never came.
Right, which is why I'm so aggravated.
Because, well, he gives up for a little while, dates Wonder Girl, Donna Troy, and then after a little bit, they break up, and she realizes that she's always loved Arsenal.
It's the backwards hat. Chicks dig a backwards hat.
It's the truck. And then she, so he kind of goes back on this Linda kick during, I think when he remembers his kids, that's when it really hits him.
Yeah.
So Williamson builds a whole lot in the Flash, and then they set it up kind of like they did in the old Flash, and when they pass it on to Tom King, he just slammed it into the ground. It's like you had this beautiful tee up, and he did. I have a lot of doubts about Tom King right now, but I think there might be some hope coming up for that. So we'll see. He said that they stayed dead, but I don't know. There's a mystery afoot, and Wally's 5 minutes too old. So who knows? Could be the wrong Wally West. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I just worry the mystery is not going to be worth all the hassle.
I agree. But I wonder if they're going to undo what they did. At least maybe. For Wally. I feel like I wonder if they just did it for shock value and then they're going to bring him back.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's because of the fan reaction or if that was what they had planned, but I have a feeling that he's coming back. Right. If not, he'll be back eventually. So anyways, so that's number 3?
Yeah, so that would mean we have 2 left, but I just thought of another couple that we've got to get on this list somewhere.
Yeah.
But we'll do this couple, and then we'll figure out where to put this other couple. Okay. But my next couple is Ralph and Sue Dibney, the elongated man and his wife.
Yeah.
They are just like the perfect comic book couple. He's a nobody, except for his powers. She's from a rich family, they met at her coming out party where she presented herself to society as a woman, and they fell in love and they got married, and she just goes around with him doing his thing. He's a detective. She is like frequently presented as every bit his equal as far as wit and ability. Maybe not detective ability, but certainly she can hold her own. And just reading I can't believe it's not the Justice League story. They just put that on full display. There's this bit about her possibly being pregnant, and she's not pregnant, but somehow Ralph is convinced she's pregnant, and everybody else is treating her like she's pregnant. She's like, "I'm not pregnant," and it's hilarious. Just the way that they go about it. Like, people are making offhand remarks. She's standing there and they're making offhand remarks like, "Oh, don't worry about her. She's in her time of need," or something like that. "I'm not pregnant." And it's like they just keep hitting it over and over again, and it's so wonderful.
That's funny.
And then Identity Crisis happened, and like that whole issue, like that first issue alone is probably the only good thing about that series. And I know that sounds weird considering what ends up happening at the end of the issue, but like their relationship is on full display throughout that whole issue, and you're like, man, I love them so much. I don't know that I could love them as a couple any more than I do.
Yeah.
And then the end happens, and you're like, now I hate comics. And you're like, how can I have both those reactions to an issue? And I won't spoil it for those who haven't read it or might be interested in reading it, but it's just not right. And then there's other things in that series that I really hated, the way that they handled that relationship. But it's sort of like Tom King's writing in that particular issue, because I don't have as big a problem with Meltzner's writing. Elsewhere, I appreciated his Justice League stuff, and I just didn't care for a lot of what happened in Identity Crisis. But
yeah.
That's just me. But anyway, so that's Ralph and Sue Dibney, Elongated Man. And
he's a lot of fun on the Flash TV show.
Yeah.
I felt like he brought a lot of greatness to that show that had kind of been lacking for a season.
Yeah.
So he kind of changed the game. Anyways, number 2 or number 1?
That was number 2. So number 1, I guess, depends on where you're from. If you're DC fans like we are, it's not going to be hard to figure out, where what our number 1 pick is. But there's another, couple in the Marvel universe that we somehow neglected in our conversations. Mary Jane.
Oh yeah.
Spider-Man. And
I had thought about him too.
His Lady Love.
There's a cool storyline where Miles Morales and Spider-Gwen get together. So that's pretty cool
neat.
Too.
Sweet.
They're my favorite Spider characters.
Yeah.
But I do like Peter Parker and Mary Jane.
I love that.
They're as classic as Clark and Lois.
Yeah. I just love that she came into his life in a big way after Gwen died and helped him cope with that. And he got to see this other side of her that he had not seen before. Because before, she just came across as this ditzy party girl. And she came across after Gwen died as this sensitive, caring individual. And then, there's this point in the future where she, he opens the door and she says to him, "Face it, Tiger, you hit the jackpot," kind of like at the end of Spider-Man 2, where she's there in the wedding dress or whatever. And you get the sense that there's something amazing in their relationship that it's like they turn this corner and you're like, there it is. It's perfect. It's the way it should be. Let's not mess with this. So yeah. But anyway, they can be sort of the honorable mention, if for no other reason than we forgot them and we tend more toward DC than Marvel. But as far as Marvel goes, they are one of the best couples there.
Yeah.
So as you alluded to already, number one is Lois and Clark. Clark and Lois.
It's hard to beat them. I don't know.
It really is hard to beat them, isn't it? She doesn't even need powers. Like I've told you, I feel like Lois grounds Superman, and he allows her to fly. So I think it's stupid that they need to put them apart or create this non-existent triangle like Bendis seems to be doing in the most current run, because I don't know. I don't even understand it.
Yeah. I'm just ignoring it.
Yeah. As best you can, right? Because I know you're still reading Superman.
Yeah. No, I really Tomasi's run. Tomasi Gleason. Beautiful. Yeah. So good. So good. I really, really enjoyed that. And that really, because it starts with the Superman, Lois, and Clark, which is like 6 issues. And then it goes over really to Tomasi and Gleason. And it's amazing. It's amazing. It's I think the best Superman comic modern day that's been written. And really brought life back to the characters. And Bendis has been okay. I liked some of it. Some of it's been kind of dumb, but whatever. To each his own. But Tomasi's run was great. Really made me fall in love with the two characters, because I wasn't a big Superman fan before, and now I'm a big Superman and Lois Lane fan.
Yeah.
And Superboy. I like both of them. You have a Superboy for each
generation
of the last two Robins. Excuse me. So.
Well, you've got Clark when he was a boy. I don't know if they consider that canon. You have Connor, and then you have John. So I'm good with that.
But anyways, so that's our list, everybody.
Yeah.
We appreciate you watching all this with us.
Sticking with us.
So let us know what your favorite superhero couple is. Whether that be with two superheroes or a superhero and a normie. Let us know. Obviously, anybody dating a superhero is not a normie, but
right.
You know what I mean. So let us know what you think. Is there anybody that we missed that we should have covered? Of course, we were really just focusing on Marvel and DC, but I don't really know anybody else. Although I've been reading the Dark Crystal series, and there's some pretty cool stuff in there.
Sweet.
But not really. It's so different. It's
not Valentine's Day related, right?
Well, it's got a good relationship in there.
Oh, good.
But it's, based on the puppets of Jim Henson, so I didn't feel like it really felt with the same gravitas as superheroes. Well, there you go. The same genre as superheroes, because it's more fantasy.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Marvel and DC, let us know if there's anyone we forgot, because we'd be interested to hear what you have to say. If you're new here, go ahead and give us a like, go ahead and subscribe. We'd love to welcome you to the family.
Yep.
I'm Jonathan. This is Lewis. I'm actually pointing the right way this time. So we like to talk about superheroes, and so let us know what you think. Leave us a comment and tell us what you like, what you didn't like. If you agree or disagree, we'd love to hear from you. And I think we will catch you next time. Peace.